I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Are you ready to win at the game of life? Well, throw out that rulebook and get down to the business of being the best and most authentic version of you. Welcome to the Human Design Podcast. We're changing the rules around success, abundance, purpose, love, and life, where we're creating a planet where everyone can thrive in a world that loves and supports each other. I'm your host, Emma Dunwoody, a qualified master coach, human design expert, podcaster, and entrepreneur that is living the life of my dreams, breaking all the rules while doing it, making a huge impact, and living my design and manifesting miracles on the daily. Join me as I break down and simplify everything you need to live in alignment with your human design, teach you how to recondition your unconscious mind for greatness, and to take back your power so you can manifest your heaven on earth and serve the rest of the planet at the same time. It's time to give up the fear and step into your highest potential, to reach for the stars, to know and live your greatness. It's what you deserve, and it's what the planet really needs from you. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Well, in today's episode, I am going to share a little bit of my life with you and really how this incredible modality, tool, whatever you want to call it, human design has really guided me to live the most extraordinary life. And to be honest, it's just getting started, which is super exciting. Now, if you've been playing along over on Instagram, then you know I have just spent a month kind of in the States, Mexico, and Spain. And oh my goodness, what a freaking adventure. I did spend quite a bit of time on this adventure just reflecting on how far I've come, how far this little experiment or this adventure, or even my diagnosis 20 years ago of depression and panic disorder, how that was the catalyst for creating my dream life and actually feeling like I am contributing to this incredible planet and at an important time in human history, and really feeling like human design is a large part of the mission that I am here to share with all of you. I mean, obviously, you are listening to this podcast. Maybe you are a member of our HDX collective community. And maybe, just maybe, you're about to join something super exciting that we are launching tomorrow, which is going to be fantastic. Now, little old me, who knew 20 years ago when I was working in the advertising industry, when I was burnt out, depressed, panic disorder, living in a country town that was just contributing to my poor mental health, feeling lost, uncertain, stuck, and just miserable. You know, I had felt such great potential in me, especially as a teenager. You know, I had kind of come out of my little introverted box by then, and I'd started to see this great potential that was the life ahead of me. And even if I even as I started in the advertising industry, I just remember feeling such great excitement about this life ahead of me. Now, little did I know by the time I was 28 that I would be the most miserable I would ever be in my entire life. And little did I know that it would be one of the most important turning points in my life. And I look back and reflect on that now from this incredible vantage point to think, wow, if you out there are struggling, if you are in the deepest, darkest night of the soul, if you are feeling challenged and you just can't see the light, please, please, please take it from me. It is absolutely there. And whatever is going on for you is such an important part of your journey. Now, I want to kind of bring it back to this adventure this last month. Just before I headed off overseas, I actually got to speak at the Human Design Conference here in Australia, which was just brilliant. I also got to catch up with my mentor and the woman that I often tell the story. It was the first time I got to tell my story about how when I asked the universe to bring me my missing piece, and my missing piece was human design, and then I Googled the best human design coach or something like that in Australia, Kim was the person who came up, and it was really cool. I told this story in this room, and there she was sitting right there, and what a pivotal, important person in my life. So this really kicked off this incredible month of dreams come true. First, we touched base in Sedona, Arizona, and we went to see Greg Braden for 4 days, and it blew my mind. I mean, I love a 4-day conference or retreat. I think he called it a retreat. And I think I was there like 10 minutes and I'd already spent God knows how much on a bunch of art, which you will see because it's going to go up here behind me, behind where, what you see behind me on my screen when it arrives. But this was such a transformational experience. Greg Braden is so powerful, and his whole mission was about teaching us, showing us how powerful we are as human beings, and how we are in this time in history where the powers that be would have us believe that we are powerless and weak, and that we need machines and AI to step in and take over because we're not smart enough, fast enough, healthy enough, strong enough. And all of that is absolute bullshit. And it was fascinating. Like, he dived deep into our DNA, into our consciousness, even into these incredible things called the mirrors, which are from the Essene texts, which are one of the lost parts of the that were thrown out by the Catholic Church of the Bible. Like, it's fascinating. I'm just about to teach these mirrors in HDX after I've recorded this podcast. I'm super excited about it. And from a behavioral perspective, what these mirrors are all about is how our reality reflects back what's going on inside of us. And there's these 6 very specific ways. And for me, I was sitting there with my, Gate 16 enthusiasm nearly bursting, because I'm like, he's talking about the external clues, but he's giving them a model. He's giving them very specific models. So that was mind-blowing. And not only that, but it was the first time I have been to Sedona. And holy crap, that place is beautiful and magical. And truth is, next time I will absolutely spend more time there just hiking and being on the land, because it was just stunning. Now, what was also super cool about that, and I'd love to just bring this back to manifesting my dreams, because one of the biggest drivers in my entire life is accessing the greatness, the potential that lies within me. And, that's what Greg was talking all about. It's what I'm always talking about for you. I want you to not only be able to see the greatness and the power that sits within you, but to also be able to access it. So going through this whole process, like, one of the big things was, like, I was sitting in freaking Sedona at this amazing conference. So it was another dream come true. It was more proof to my brain, more evidence that I can create any reality I choose to create. Now, from Sedona, we went to Austin, Texas, and oh my goodness, talk about dreams come true. I was interviewed on Luke Story's podcast, and that'll be out later this year. And this is a podcast that, if you don't know who I'm talking about, it's the Lifestylist podcast. His name is Luke Story, and it's the podcast that I've listened to the most consistently over what feels like more than a decade. So to be in his studio talking to him all about human design was just epic. And would you believe he had not heard of the Gene Keys or Richard Rudd? So I'm just putting it out there. I recommended that he get onto that and get Richard onto the podcast. So I'm totally taking some of the credit of that the day Richard gets the interview, which I absolutely know he will do. So that was fantastic. And I got to meet Alison Charles in person. I've sort of known her online in the background, and she's just as epic as ever. Now, what I want to tell you about this is, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, or maybe you haven't, you know that I will often refer to manifestation. And I have this theory because recently all of these incredible humans have been coming into my life. I've been manifesting these people that I have listened to, followed, been inspired by, who have, mentored me from a distance through the work they put out in the world. And they're now becoming people that are a part of my world. And one of the things that occurred to me is, here I am, and maybe arrogantly, but this is the way we've been taught to manifest, thinking that I'm actually creating this because I'm consciously going, okay, well, these are the people I want to draw into my life, like Luke's story, or all these other amazing humans that in my world right now. And then it dawned on me, what if we're actually like seeded with these particular souls, with these people, and as we sort of grow and evolve, we're actually drawn to them because we know that we will become unconsciously. So we don't know consciously. Our soul knows that these are people that are going to be a part of our world as we move forward. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you like my theory? How does it feel for you? Anyway, my point actually was that I am just like you. So who are those people that you just know you're going to meet them, or you're going to have them on your podcast, or I remember watching Bruce Lipton years ago on one of his Gaia events, and he said something about astrology, and I wrote down the question that I ended up asking him on the podcast because I knew I was going to ask him one day. So I just want to inspire you. Who are those people? What are those questions? What is that thing in your world that you know you are going to manifest, you know you're going to create? Because honestly, I am living proof that you can make that shit happen. And that leads me into the point, like how specifically. And if I've discovered one thing, and I'm talking so much about authentic success right now, and this thing we're just about to launch, you will find out about it. When this goes live, it will be hours off launching. Our Authentic Success Club is all about creating just that. And one of the primary ways we do that, create authentic success, meaning that we have all the resources we want, we do what we love every day. The work that we do in the world is just an authentic expression of ourselves, is by backing ourselves, is by 100% believing in ourselves. And this is something that I see over and over again as I start to meet, become friends with, do different projects with these incredible, successful humans. It's the one thing they have in common, just this, in many cases, quiet but hugely powerful self-belief that they don't know how, they don't know why, they don't know when, they don't know what. I mean, in many cases, they do have some of those answers. However, they don't need them. They just know that they will, and they are going to succeed. They're going to give their gifts to the world. So I just want to pop that out there for you as well. Okay, please, if you love what you do, if you're passionate about what you're learning, if you really want to take something out into the world, believe in you and you will make it happen. I promise you that. Then after Luke's story, I got to be on The Way Forward, which is Alec Zeck's podcast. And he is just this 30-something, incredibly intelligent, hugely powerful individual. It was fascinating unpacking his human design because I actually didn't know him. well, Amanda on my team knows him really well, has listened to his podcast for years. But I didn't. And when I unpacked his chart, like just watching his response, his reaction, how much it just blew him away. It gave him so much validation for this incredible path that he's choosing to walk down. So if you don't know him, go check out his podcast. It's freaking epic. And from his podcast, I'm just going to throw it out there for you guys. I listened to an episode on German new science. Mind blowing. That is definitely a rabbit hole that I'm going down. Go check it out. So after Austin, we went to Mexico. And in Mexico, we ran our retreat. And yet again, far out, universe, you are amazing. Like I've said so many times, we don't curate these things. We trust the process. And the group of people that came together were extraordinary. I feel like they walked through the door. They dumped their physical and metaphorical baggage and just dived deep into the whole experience. The incredible Corinne, dear friend of mine, who I met, she's originally in HDX and she was a private client of mine. And we've been to, I think she did the mastermind and she's been to Mexico last year. She now opens and closes all of our retreats as a incredible shaman that she is. And that she's just epic. Like talk about watching a projector step into her power. Far out, people. So in Mexico, we dived super deep into human design, but really we dived super deep into authenticity. We gave these people the space, the tools, the knowledge, the people, the community, the opportunities to just shed all of this unnecessary conditioning and to watch them all grow, evolve, and transform. Like there was massive life-changing stuff. I wish I could tell you about it, but obviously they're not my stories to tell, so I can't. But transformational and just so grateful that I get to do this work all day, every day. Now, on a personal note, there is a story I just want to share of the power of this work. One of the things that Corinne does in the closing ceremony is she gets you to throw anything in the fire that you feel is still unfinished or needs to be let go of or whatever. And I threw into that because the last Mexico retreat was I threw into the fire that I needed to step away from my marriage. I needed to be done with it. And this time I threw into the fire that I need to fully release Justin. Like I really need to let him go. And the crazy thing was from the moment I touched down in Australia, I just went into full grief, like couldn't stop crying. Like just went through this whole process of grieving the relationship, the 25 years, everything we created, even the choices that he's made after we've split up that have really hurt me that I didn't vocalize because I feel like I didn't have didn't have the right to vocalize it. And I did. I just went through this huge purging, got sick, lost my voice, all these crazy things. The power of this work is just incredible. So that was Mexico. Then we flew back to LA, and in LA, I had the great pleasure to be on Lola Berry's podcast. For the Aussies listening, you know who I mean. Surely you know who Lola Berry is. Another one of my role models and mentors that I followed for many years. She's a nutritionist, a yoga teacher, an entrepreneur. She's done some incredibly great things in the entrepreneurial space, and she's out in LA becoming an actor. And she's just an epic human. So that was really cool as well to create another close friendship. You know, the other thing that was fascinating from a human design perspective is watching my 37 energy play out, you know, and how quickly and deeply and authentically that energy just creates these beautiful friendships, which I can't tell you how grateful I am to have. Like, so grateful, just lights me up. Then on the way home, we went via Mallorca in Spain and got to hang out with Elizabeth Ralph and a couple of her besties, and it was mind-blowing. We sat up till like 2 a.m. talking about how the universe works, coached each other through a bunch of things, planned out how we can, take the world by storm. It was just extraordinary. And ultimately, this whole adventure, apart from missing my kids so much, this whole adventure was evidence to me, and may I gift it to you as evidence to you that when you are so passionate about what you do and how you want to contribute your gifts to the planet, that you can create anything you want to create. It's not about, creating money to have Gucci bags, but if you want to, you go for it. It's not about creating success so that so people like you or you're seen as some sort of expert. It's about how you can impact the planet. This whole adventure for me gave me the opportunity to see the power that lies within me to empower so many of you out there. And if you're listening to this and you feel at all lit up, at all excited by this, then it's in you and it's crying to get out. It wants you to get out into the world and contribute those gifts that lie within you. So on that note, my beautiful friend, I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to invite you to really connect to that greatness that lives within you, that belief in you, that you can create a life beyond your wildest dreams because you deserve it and the planet needs it from you. All right, beautiful human. I got to go. I got to go teach the 6 mirrors in HDX. Enjoy. I love you lots. Bye for now. Thanks everyone for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.